Hello, everyone. It's me, Mrs. Gronnert, and today we're going to read the story Hansel and Gretel, retold by Mrs. Gronnert. Once upon a time, there lived a woodcutter and his two children, Hansel and Gretel. They lived at the edge of a large, dark forest. The children's mother died, and the woodcutter married again. His new wife was cruel and unkind. She treated the children badly. The family was very poor and did not have food to eat. One night, the woodcutter's wife was talking to her husband. Husband, the only food we have to eat is bread and water. I'm afraid that we will starve. The only way we will survive the winter is to get rid of the children. Get rid of the children? I could never get rid of the children. We must. If we do not get rid of the children, we will all starve to death. Do you want to die? I do not. I have a plan. We can take the children out to the middle of the forest and lose them there. Luckily, Hansel was so hungry that night that he could not sleep. And he overheard his evil stepmother's plan. That night, after his parents had fallen asleep, Hansel went outside. He saw small white pebbles gleaming in the moonlight, so he filled his pockets with pebbles and went back to bed. In the morning, just as the sun rose in the sky, the stepmother came and woke the children. Get up now, you lazy bones. We have to go to the forest today to cut wood. Here's a piece of bread to eat. Save it until the afternoon because we have nothing else. All morning they walked through the forest. Hansel stopped every few feet to drop a pebble on the ground. By the afternoon, the stepmother told Hansel and Gretel to wait by a tree while she and the woodcutter went to cut wood. Hansel and Gretel waited patiently by the tree. Their stepmother and father never returned. By the time it was dark, Gretel had become very frightened and began to cry. Don't worry, sister. I will help us get back home. When the moon rose in the night sky, the white pebbles shone on the forest floor. Hansel and Gretel followed the pebbles home. When they arrived back at the cottage, the stepmother was furious. Where have you two been? She asked. We looked for you, but you were not next to the tree, lied the wicked stepmother. Go to bed. Supper is over and there's nothing left to eat. With that, the evil stepmother locked Hansel and Gretel in their rooms. In the morning, just as the sun rose in the sky, the stepmother came and woke the children. Get up now, you lazy bones. We have to go to the forest today to cut wood. Here's a piece of bread to eat. Save it until the afternoon because we have nothing else. All morning they walked through the forest. Hansel stopped every few feet to drop a breadcrumb on the ground. By the afternoon, the stepmother told Hansel and Gretel to wait by a tree while she and the woodcutter went to cut wood. Of course, they did not return. By the time it was dark, Gretel had become very frightened and began to cry. Don't worry, sister. I will help us get back home. When the moon rose in the night sky, the breadcrumbs were nowhere to be seen. They had been eaten by the birds that lived in the forest. Oh, Hansel, we are lost, cried Gretel. I can find the way home, said Hansel. The two children began to wander through the forest. They walked all night. When the sun rose in the morning, they were in the middle of the forest, cold, hungry, and alone. Oh, Hansel, we're going to die. We have no food to eat and we are lost in the darkest part of the forest. Hansel did not know what to do, but was brave for his sister and said, Gretel, I think I see a light. Let's go this way. The children wandered on deeper and deeper into the forest. When both of the children were so tired and so hungry that they thought they could not walk another step, they saw a light shining through the trees. The children ran toward the light, and when they got close, they could barely believe their eyes. Right in front of them was a beautiful little house. The walls were made of gingerbread. The windows were sugar candy. The roof was covered in sugar frosting. There were chocolates, marshmallows, candy canes, gumdrops, and sweets everywhere. Hansel and Gretel rushed to the house and began to eat. "This is delicious," said Hansel. "Oh, the window is a special treat. I've never tasted anything so good in my life," exclaimed Gretel. "Let's stay here forever," cried Hansel. Hansel was eating the delicious roof, and Gretel was eating the sugar window when a little old lady came to the door. The lady was old, older than the dirt. She was hunched, bald, and blind. "Nibble, nibble, little mouse. Who is nibbling at my house?" The children answered, "It is not I, it's just the wind blowing in the sky." The old lady was really a witch. Even though she was blind, she could smell the children. Witches have an excellent sense of smell. The witch knew that the children were eating her house. "Oh, you poor, poor dears, you must be starving. I will take care of you. Come inside, and I will give you more wonderful things to eat." Not knowing the old lady was a witch, the children went inside. The old witch fed them a delicious meal and then put them to bed. The children fell asleep and slept happily with full stomachs. When they woke up the next morning, Hansel was locked inside a cage. The witch told Gretel, "You girl will work for me, and you boy, I will feed you and fatten you. And when you are just fat enough, I will cook you and eat you." Gretel began to cry, but there was nothing she could do. She had to work for the witch. Every day, the witch made Gretel cook all sorts of wonderful food for her brother. Gretel was not allowed to eat anything but crumbs. Every day, the witch would say, "Hansel, my sweet little morsel, stick your finger out of the cage so I can feel to see if you are fat enough to eat." Gretel was smart. She gave Hansel a chicken bone to stick out of the cage instead of his finger. The old blind witch could not see well enough to tell the difference between the bone and Hansel's finger. Every day, the witch would touch Hansel's finger, it was really the bone, and say, "No, you are not fat enough. Gretel, get him more food." After 4 weeks, the witch thought that Hansel had still not gotten fat enough. The witch was very impatient and hungry for a child. She told Gretel to turn on the oven. "First, I'm going to eat your brother, and then I'm going to eat you." Poor Gretel, with tears streaming down her face, turned on the oven. After a little while, the witch said, "Gretel, check inside the oven to see if it's hot enough." Smart Gretel knew exactly what to do. She said, "I do not know how to tell if the oven is hot enough. Please show me." "Just feel inside the oven," yelled the witch. "I do not know how to tell how hot the oven is," said Gretel again. "Are you dumb? It's simple. Just put your head in." The witch wanted Gretel to put her head into the oven so that she could push her in cook her and eat her. I just do not understand. Please show me, responded Gretel. I guess I will have to do it then, said the witch. With that, the witch put her head inside the oven to see if it was hot enough. And Gretel pushed the witch right in. Then she closed the door. The evil witch burned to ash inside the oven. Gretel quickly let Hansel out of the cage. Hansel and Gretel hugged each other. They knew they needed to get away from the witch's house and out of the forest. Hansel and Gretel packed a bag of delicious food from the witch's house. As they were packing the food, they found a giant chocolate egg. The egg looked so delicious that they both wanted to taste a piece before they left. The children broke the egg open. Inside the egg, they found gold and jewels, riches and pearls. The children packed the riches in with the food and left the horrible witch's house. They walked for a long time until they came to a lake in the forest. A white duck was swimming across the lake. How will we cross this lake? Asked Hansel. I will call the duck, said Gretel. Little duck, just give us a bit of luck. This lake is deep and wide. Please help us to the other side. The duck came right over. It let Hansel and Gretel ride on its back to the other side one at a time. When they got to the other side of the lake, they began walking through a familiar forest. The forest and trees became more and more familiar. Soon the children had arrived back at their father's cabin. They ran inside and found their father. He was so happy to see his children. He had not lived even one happy day since the children had been left in the forest. The children showed their father the wonderful gold and jewels, riches and pearls they had taken from the witch's house. The woodcutter said, "Oh, my wonderful, smart children, I can barely believe my eyes. Here you are in front of me. All of my dreams have come true. Your stepmother is dead, and I have you and all the riches we could ever desire." Hansel, Gretel, and their woodcutter father lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed the story today, and I hope to see you again very soon.